If you ever thought about bidding, or you currently bid on anything that is tech related, whether it's software, IT, cloud, etc., this is going to be a very beneficial video for you. But before we get started, please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to grow our channel and talk more about tech and IT and consulting, etc., and the government contracting industry. So let's get straight to it before we talk more. So the first thing that you want to look when you're trying to exact strategy to find tech contracts to work with the government is you want to understand where tech spending really happens. Where are the contracts are going to? So we're talking about the federal agencies, and then we'll talk about state and education institutions as well. So you have in the federal agency, obviously you have the Department of Defense, one of the biggest departments in the US, one of the biggest spenders. You have the Homeland Security, the Veteran Affairs, and they focus on large scale IT modernization, cybersecurity, and recently they've been focusing a lot on AI integrations as well. When it comes to state and local governments, and these are obviously the state governments, not really the federal government, so they can vary a lot from a state to a state, but the majority, they seek vendors for web development, cloud migration, software maintenance, and data management. These are things that are more controlled by the state level rather than the federal level itself. And lastly, you have the education services or the educational institutions, school board, universities and colleges, etc. And they fall under SLED as well. And they fund tech infrastructure, digital learning tools, and IT support systems. So you want to understand your positioning as a company. You want to start where competition is manageable. For new or small vendors, start with state, local, and education, aka SLED. It's just a smaller barrier to entry, a smaller requirement, a smaller compliance requirements, etc., and they're usually the best entry point. On the other hand, they could be smaller, they could be even bigger than the federal ones, but it's a great starting point to find tech contracts. Using specific keywords, you want to get niche when it comes to your tech abilities and your tech search. You want to avoid terms like broad software or IT services. You're either not going to get anything or you're going to get tons of thousands of irrelevant results. And instead, you're going to try to target the search terms that align the most with your niche. So, for example, web development, cloud migration, cybersecurity support, AI integration, system modernization, data analytics platform. So you see how it's more a niche, more granular, it's more in-depth term compared to just software. And these precise terms help filter out noise and service real winnable opportunities. Get straight to what your firm or what your company does. You don't want to be scrolling and wasting time and making decisions on wastable, unnecessary opportunities. Number 3, you want to identify recurring contracts, and we'll get to how to do those things in a bit, but it's so important to identify recurring contracts. It is insane how companies actually that do this win every single time, and their strategy is just insane. They're just a killer. They are like, why we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're not going to look for something that is brand new. We're going to look for contracts that have already been awarded, and we know they're going to expire in 60 months. We know we have a chance that agency is going to put out a very similar contract because it's a recurring contract, and we will bid on it using what worked and even better. So most government contracts, especially in tech, are renewed every 1 to 3 years. Tracking these recurring opportunities gives you an advantage, as we said. When a contract is about to expire, the agency often releases a similar solicitation for a rebid. And if you're aware of these timelines, you can prepare for early position yourself before competitors even notice. By the time it's on SAM.gov, let's say, you already have everything you need to start your bid. Whereas your competition, that's when they're going to hear about it. But if you have been tracking and tracing those things, it is such an advantage for you. Finding the forecasts, these are like the forecast, is a little bit harder, and a lot of times they're buried. The government forecasts, they're buried in PDFs. You don't know where they are, but we'll also talk about that in a minute. So we spoke about so far understanding where the tech happens, so the federal agencies, the state, local, and education. We spoke about using specific keywords, so getting granular with your searches instead of using broad terms. And we talked about forecasting. Now, What if you have a software or a place that you don't really have to choose between one of these three options, or you don't have to be more granular and be so careful about your searches, and also have the ability to trace and track forecasts before they're even a solicitation? And that's what we're going to talk about right now, is centralizing and automating your search. You want to centralize all of the sources in one place and have your search automated and done for you, and you can just get reports to it. Manually browsing multiple state federal portals, that can waste hours each week. The key is to centralize and automate. And majority of the time, tech companies don't have the resources, or they don't even hire capture teams. That team's sole responsibility is to find contracts, whereas it's going to be a task that is a burden on someone rather than having a specific team that does it. And that is fine, because with tools nowadays, you can automate those searches to end up getting the contracts that fit you best. And that's where SAM-Search comes into play. It aggregates federal, state, and local education contracts in one easy searchable dashboard. So instead of checking 200 websites, you can now have access to over 5,000 procurement websites in one place. You can use filters by industry, technology, etc. You can have a smart search and not having a dependency on keywords anymore. And you can also get automated bid alerts when matching opportunities appear. Let's take a look at it. So as I mentioned, you have access to search federal, state, local education, DIPS, forecasts, subcontracting even, grants, and SBIR, SATR. Now to look for federal contracts, all I have to do is actually just look up software and AI. Now, if you were using a search platform that is a keyword matching, you can't just be writing AI. You would have to write artificial intelligence. So it's very tricky. Even if you look for cybersecurity, you realize some of these contracts in their title, they don't even have cybersecurity as a word in the title. But when you look at the summary that is also generated by AI, you realize that it is actually a cybersecurity title. So you would have missed on those opportunities if you are a cybersecurity firm, because the cybersecurity word is not in the title, and you would have to look for something related to Spotlight, cyber, etc., something that is in the title essentially. So this is kind of two birds, one stone situation, where you get access to federal, state, local, and education, DIPS, forecast, and also you have smart search that I can use just plain English. The other aspect is setting up alerts. Let's say you want to find and get alerts for state and federal. You can do that by just creating two different alerts, for example, or you can create an alert for everything. So let's have this search be title cybersecurity, and we're just going to name it SLED opportunities. We're going to check the box off to get notified. We'll hit the frequency. We want it to be weekly for SLED, but we're going to create another alert for federal. And this one's going to be SLED, and we're going to want to get alerts daily for this. So now if we go to the saved in history, we see cybersecurity federal opportunities and cybersecurity SLED opportunities. We can run the search, but we're also going to get alerts based off our search terms, our filters, etc., etc. So that resolves number one and number two. When it comes to identifying recurring contracts, you want to go on SAM-Search again and click on awards, for example. Try to look for a keyword in the software or in the tech industry. Try to look for the company name or some sort of contract, or you can filter by the date range, for example. We're going to go on. Let's take a look at this award, for example, by the company Zabbix Software. So it was awarded for almost 80K. We see here that the solicitation date was July 24, 2025. The performance is going to start September 23, 2026. Performance end in the same month. So we can position ourselves by next year, after we understand this opportunity, by around September 2023, maybe in July of 2027, because that's when this was released. We understand that there could potentially be a contract for electric computer manufacturing, IT and telecom business application software, and we see here how much it was awarded for, etc., etc. We can get all the information about this award. We can do so with all the other awards that we can find. But that is if you want to do more manual work. If not, you can just go on software, on the search, and click on forecast, and now you will see cybersecurity. That's just because that's what we're searching. Forecasts right here with information on when those contracts are going to be published, and their estimated value, the makes code, the department, a quick summary that is generated by AI. If you click on it, you can either read the description, get more information, and even contact the contracting officer who is responsible for this forecast as well. So we see Linda Sue right here, who's responsible for it. If you click on email contact, it will show you an already drafted email ready to send to the contracting officer. So with that in mind, now you want to build a contract watch list. So you do these kind of search terms, you set up a few alerts and in the saved in history tab right here. So you always have those on the watch list, and you want to review solicitation details, research incumbent contractors, analyze pricing scope from previous awards, and lastly, prepare your proposal materials in advance. Now, I have two more last points, but they are extremely important. They're probably more important than everything we said so far. The first one is that consistency wins. Finding and winning tech contracts is not luck, it's a process. If you consistently use targeted searches, you track renewals, you automate your alerts, and maintain a live watch list, you'll build a steady pipeline of opportunities and spend less time chasing random RFPs. You can go to your pipeline right here, and this should always be filled with contracts you're either actively bidding on or is some potential you want to bid on. Your pipeline should never be empty. The second point, if you want to skip the manual search altogether, start with SAM search. You can discover tech-related bids, federal and SLED, and more. You can set up the custom alerts by keyword or agency and track expiring and new contracts in one dashboard. So visit samsearch.co to start finding your tech contract. I will leave a link in the bio. And if you like this video, again, please hit the subscribe button. Subscription means a lot to me, so please do it, and leave a like to this video as well. I'll leave some links and resources in the description. So thank you for watching.